And joining us at the table is Republican strategist Erin Perrine. Your initial take so far, what do you give us the pros and the cons here?
I think the initial take is I think this campaign's over for Joe Biden. If you put this into historical context, people are going to look back at this debate the way they look back at the Kennedy-Nixon debates. This is a monumental moment for the country, and I'm not trying to be verbose or braggadocious, but superdelegates are about to be super important to Democrats. I didn't want to believe it that the reason this debate was before the Democrat convention was in case they needed to pull a Jamal Bowman and pull the fire alarm on Joe Biden and run him out of there. But after this debate performance, I don't know how Democrats, CNN's having a meltdown, MSNBC is having a meltdown. There are so many liberal commentators having meltdowns and Democrats texting saying, we've got to figure this out. Do we go to the White House with this? They are in panic mode. And if you're Donald Trump, you walked off that stage with a good performance this evening.
And CNN, I think part of their theme has been that President Trump has lied and that Joe Biden didn't stop him from lying. And we saw here Bill Ackman, he took to X saying that it's pretty clear to the American people that Biden can't go for another term. Trump urged Biden to step up and be a better president. Let's take a listen.
And I'll tell you something. I wish he was a great president because I wouldn't be here right now. I'd be at one of my many places enjoying myself. I wouldn't be under indictment because I wouldn't have been his political opponent because he indicted me because I was his opponent. I wish he was a great president. I would rather have that. I wouldn't be here. I don't mind being here. But the only reason I'm here is he's so bad as a president that I'm going to make America great again. We're going to make America great again.
I mean, Erin, there is the president basically saying, look, Dave, Joe Biden wants to put his political opponent in jail.
Well, there's been plenty of conversation and plenty of historical data that shows there's been weaponization of the government. And you've seen that President Trump has talked about it again. I mean, you go back to Lois Lerner and the IRS targeting conservatives, right? This is not new. The weaponization of government is not new. They've talked about it in Congress. The big issue here right now is Joe Biden has put the country on the wrong track, and Republicans have been saying that, and there have been plenty in the media who have covered for him, but tonight they couldn't.
Let me ask you this. I mean, you just talked about how they're all freaking out. I mean, it's all over Twitter, and a lot of people that hate Trump that talk about how great Biden is every day on TV. I mean, like Charlie Sykes and all these like sycophants are saying this is scary. That's when you know something's up. What I don't understand, because I'm just not a political savant, how hard is it to do that at this point? I mean, it's 6 weeks to the convention. What does it take to change him at this point? Like, is it a huge undertaking? Is it possible?
I don't know all the mechanics on the Democrat side. I know that the superdelegates are not bound, and so there's an ability to move things on the floor at the convention. This could be an open, contested convention for Democrats, and that is huge. We are talking right now about the fact that the president of the United States could be replaced on the Democrat ballot, and there is open conversation about that. That is fire alarms and sirens. And if you are a down ballot Democrat who have been outperforming Joe Biden in these swing states, if you're in New Mexico or you're anywhere else, Martin Heinrich's comms director is out there tweeting clips of Veep right now after watching the president at the debate, and he's talking about Joe Biden. Down ballot races are going to have a big... I really think this was cataclysmic tonight. I think you are going to see a big shift in polling towards Republicans.
Yeah, this is something else. We got Rob Astorino at the big wall for us. Rob, go ahead.
All right. Well, I mean, Twitter is going absolutely ballistic, as you would imagine right now, because people saw with their own eyes what they've not been allowed to see over the last 4 years, because everyone kind of, held up. So let's look at some of the tweets coming out right now. Political scientists, well, let's start with Casey Hunt from CNN, believe it or not. The Voice open-mouth look and visual contrast between President Biden and former President Trump all have Democrats I'm talking to nearly beside themselves watching this debate. Political scientist Ian Bremmer, he posted, inconceivable a nonpartisan would believe that Biden can serve capably as president for another 4 years. Former Democratic presidential candidate Andrew Yang, guys, the Dems should nominate someone else before it's too late. Hashtag swap Joe out. Pollster Frank Lunt, who's no friend of Trump, by the way, he said, after the first commercial break, I asked my focus group of undecided voters how many of them are more convinced to vote for Joe Biden. 0 raised their hands. Half of them said they voted for Biden in 2020. and they cited Biden's obvious mental decline. And former acting director of national intelligence Rick Grinnell stating he's mumbling, he's lost it, Jill Biden needs to answer some tough questions, red alert for the DNC. And senior Trump advisor Jason Miller, he went so far as to say they used the wrong cocktail within the first 5 minutes of the debate. That was pretty funny. So let the Michelle Obama rumors begin.
I mean, I just, and obviously some of those, but I mean, the ones that are really alarming, I mean, I'm talking about the people that support this chaos every day on television that are freaking out right now. That's where you just know.
I mean, Van Jones is
Something.
on CNN right now talking about
Saying
this
he's
openly.
gotta get
The
out.
White House is clearly in panic mode now. They're sending Kamala Harris to start doing interviews tonight.
Yeah, and that's normally the case too. After presidential debate, you see the candidates going out, doing these follow-up interviews, traveling to these different states to take their message. There was no message coming out of Joe Biden. I mean, Rob, what did you see?
I saw what everyone else saw. I saw a guy who has to get off that stage. But you know what Americans saw tonight? Like I was saying, for the first time, there are so many Americans who said, I didn't know Joe Biden was like that.
Was that bad? Was
or
that
like
bad?
that because
Yes.
they don't see the videos on MSNBC or Twitter. They don't see it on CNN. So tonight was their first glimpse. He was able to hide in the basement in 2020 and get away with it. For the last 4 years, they've covered up for him. But tonight he was totally exposed on that stage.
And let's be honest, I mean, usually everything he's done for the last 3.5 years, he's got the words right in front of his face.
Yeah.
So if he has his eyes open and he just reads those words, it carries him a little bit. I mean, he walks out there. I knew that having no teleprompter was going to be a huge Achilles heel for this man. He cannot, if you can't cognitively think, how are you going to remember? You got 20 different possible topics. They're all very complicated. You got him, rebutting you, changing it a little bit. This is not easy.
And not only on the policy end of it, or even his weak criticisms of Donald Trump, but he didn't understand the camera cues. I thought that was interesting.
Well,
there were
yeah.
so many moments where Joe Biden looked lost.
I really think his team prepped him to say, never look at Donald Trump.
Right.
Because that, I have to believe that's why he kept looking down. And then he would get the open mouth moments. I mean, I know there might be one, but we don't need a body language expert to tell us that was not showing strength or somebody who should be the president of the United States. And then when you get into the substance of what he was saying, that he created 15,000 jobs and that unemployment was at 50%. I mean, the president was all over the place. And Donald Trump, I actually think message-wise stayed very disciplined. I actually think the format of cutting the mics was to his benefit.
I agree.
Because
Yes,
it kept him focused and disciplined on the message, which is, I've done this, we've had this success, and Joe Biden is the problem here. I really think that this was a great format for Donald Trump, and if I was him, I'd be negotiating that in every time.
I mean,
if there's another debate.
If there's
might be
another
with a
debate
different
is a
candidate.
$1 million question. I mean, the open mouth gaze was amazing.